Join us for a lively discussion about the A-State community. Each week, we'll meet with a variety of faculty, staff, and students to discuss all things Arkansas State University. Live from the ASU-TV studios in the School of Media and Journalism, this is A-State Connections. And this is A-State Connections on KASU and ASU-TV. You can also listen by searching for Red Wolf Radio on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. I'm Jonathan Reeves, Academic Advisor for the School of Media and Journalism and the Department of Communication at Arkansas State. For over 90 years, the Arkansas State University Band Program has provided numerous opportunities for students to participate in instrumental and vocal performances in a wide variety of musical genres. Telling us more about the program today is the Interim Director of A-State Bands, Dr. Stephen Riley. And Dr. Riley, thanks for joining us today. Welcome to A-State Connections.
Thank you so much for having me.
Over 90 years. Wow. I mean, you talk about that. I think you were saying when we were talking before we went live that it's in the 94th year.
Correct.
What does that say about the storied program that we have here at Arkansas State?
Well, I mean, we've been a part of this campus community for, like you said, 94 years. And that started back in 1929, which of all years to start a program probably wasn't the most ideal time of our country's history to really start something right before the Great Depression and having to then endure and keep building from there. And in fact, we even kind of honored that kind of decision to do something in the face of adversity like that with a piece that was composed by one of our other faculty members here in the music department, Derek Jenkins, back in 2019 when it was our 90th anniversary. And he called the piece Rock Bottom. And really it is an homage to the crash of the stock market, but also the ability for us as a nation, but also as our own department to continue to put the pieces back together after the musical crash in the piece, but also the literal crash that we went through, back in the 20s and 30s. And it kind of starts the piece ends with us kind of coming back out of that fog, if you will, of that moment and continuing to emerge. And since then, we've been just continuing to thrive on this campus. We are, one of the largest bands that we've had in the last several years with the Sound of the Natural State. We had a great alumni band come back with over 40 years represented there, from people all the way back to 1983 all the way up to 2023 alums participating. And then Homecoming was just a wonderful celebration this year and featured another historical moment and person in our band program currently, and that is our drum major, Alandria Maddox, who is the first African-American female drum major that we've had on our campus.
And not only that, this was cool for Homecoming for those people who saw it, and for those who may not know, she was originally up for Homecoming Queen. One of the candidates for that won the Homecoming Queen.
Yes, that's right.
But you still have a show to put on, too.
That's right. Oh, we chatted for a long time when we knew that she was nominated for the court.
Yeah.
We started talking immediately about how her day was going to look. And between she and I, we both kind of went back and forth, and we were like, Alandria, it's going to be your day. So, I mean, we're willing to kind of help figure out. We have two other drum majors as well for these reasons. We have multiple section leaders, so that way if a student gets an opportunity like this, they're able to celebrate that in the moment that they want to celebrate in. And throughout all those conversations, Alandria was adamant about wanting to still be a part of the halftime performance on that day. And I said, okay, well, that's how you want your day to go. We'll make it work. So, and she did, without a doubt.
Homecoming dress and all.
A homecoming dress and all. She was not going to be not denied those podiums, that's for sure.
Well, that just kind of tells about, and it's a testament of the kind of students that you have there at Arkansas State. They're in the band program. They're so passionate about what they're doing.
Yes, about whether it be the band program, whether it be their fraternities, whether it be their academics, whether it be just their performances that they do share with us in the music department. They really are out there to be just great ambassadors for our university and great representatives of who they are as people.
It might be one of the reasons why you came to Arkansas State, because originally you had told me off air that you hadn't really heard of Arkansas State before.
I hadn't, I actually, it was kind of funny. A couple years back, we were going through some of our old belongings and some of our nostalgic childhood toys. And one thing that I found recently was my collection of Pogs. I don't know if you remember those from the 90s, the milk caps that you would play the game with and flip them over. And I had a 50 states collection. And I guess my first realization that there was a town called Jonesboro was from that, because Jonesboro is listed on the Pog in the state of Arkansas. So I had a connection way back when, apparently, but I didn't put all the pieces together until the director of bands at the University of Iowa, who is a great friend of mine, reached out to me and said, "Hey, have you ever heard of Arkansas State?" And I said, "No, not really. I was, Midwest kind of trained, and was raised in New England and in upstate New York, so Arkansas just wasn't really on my radar." And he's like, "Well, you should give it a shot, because I hear from this other good friend of mine that Tim Oliver, the director of bands then, is a really good person and a great colleague." I said, "Okay, well, I'll take a look." Next thing, I'm on YouTube doing some research for the interview, and the Sound of the Natural State's the first thing I saw, and it blew me away. I'm like, wow. I was just totally enamored with that. And the position was for the director of athletic bands of that band. And I'm like, that's a group that I would want to work with. That's something that I was excited about being a part of, and actually a little nervous that I might break. I was like, oh, they're really good. I was like, I hope I don't mess it up. And since then, it's just been a wonderful opportunity to connect with just the music program here in Northeast Arkansas, the music education community, and especially the students that have been part of this program.
So when you had a chance to look at it on YouTube for the first time, and you said you were blown away, what was it about that just absolutely said, you know what, this is exactly what I want to do?
The sound. I mean, it's in our name. We are the sound of the natural state, and that sound was just so characteristic of what you would hope a collegiate marching band would be. It was full. It was played with a lot of energy. It was passionate. You could hear that there was attention to detail and how notes were started and how notes ended. So clean. It was crisp, and it just kind of made the video. I mean, I can't even remember what the video was. Might have been an A-State Open demonstration, or maybe a bowl game little snapshot.
Sure.
But you could hear it in the air that it was just an incredible sound. Just like kind of reminds you of a great band on Friday Night Lights, or in the evening and in the fall, this time of year, where you can just hear that sound ring forever, and you could hear that through that video.
So one of the things about that is that it just continues to get better, and you keep having more interest into that. The students who participate in that, are they totally all music, like band students, or are they from all over the place?
They're really from all over the place. We have 43 different majors represented in the Sound of the Natural State.
Wow.
So, I mean, whether it be accounting to zoology, we've got A to Z. Every college is represented within the university. We do have a lot of music majors. I think our band scholarship program is kind of a part of that process, but that scholarship program is open to all majors on campus. But I think that's a big reason why we are so all-encompassing and inclusive of our campus, and such a widespread representation of who we have here.
And that's one of the things about Arkansas State is that, and I'm going to say this because, of course, working here, in that, but one of the reasons why I do love being here is that because there is a place for everyone.
Yes.
You can find a place at Arkansas State. I know that how are you all recruiting students to be involved in, the Sound of the Natural State, going to the football games, basketball games, volleyball games, other things that you all are performing at? How do you all get students involved in that and try and recruit?
Well, I mean, recruiting is a multifaceted approach, and we have a recruiting committee in our music department that really does a great job at outreach, whether that be going out and giving master classes into our high schools, whether that be just being available on a Friday night to watch a football game and saying congratulations to the local high schools, whether that be helping a marching band get ready for an upcoming show that they might be performing. We are trying to get out to the schools as much as we possibly can, and then in addition to that, we want to make sure that our product that we put on is something that's attractive to them as well. So one of the things I enjoy doing is letting people be a part of that experience in the Sound of the Natural State. So, I'll have emails probably, every couple of weeks, or if not even more frequent, where students reach out, "Hey, I'm thinking about A-State. Could I, sit in with the band?" Absolutely. We make arrangements for them to come and join us in the stands as part of our performances, and then they get to kind of hear that wow factor for the first time. Band Day is another big event that we do, where we have a lot of rural schools in the area that may not even have a football program, thinking like the Buffalo Island Centrals or the Bays that come to our school to experience what a college football experience is like and what a college band can sound like. They may be the only trumpet player in their band, and now they get thrown into a section of 30 other trumpet players and 500 other people on that field. And just letting them experience that sound for the first time too is a pretty awesome opportunity that I get to do every year.
You know, one thing I think is really fun is being able to be like, for example, at a basketball game
Yeah.
or at a volleyball game, and you have the band that's playing there during that, and I love just how passionate, energetic they are, and it's just a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
They're just so silly, but it's just a lot of fun to watch.
We do have a lot of shenanigans, that is for sure. I think that goes with any college band program. We definitely know how to have fun, and we definitely enjoy doing that, especially in support of our athletic programs, because you can be a little bit louder, there. But we recognize that, we're an integral part of the student section, and that when we're not playing, we are also in charge of keeping the hype going as much as we can. And that goes for basketball, especially as there's a lot more downtime in between plays of us playing, that is.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, though, you got to have the shenanigans.
Yeah,
though. I mean,
without doubt.
It just makes it fun to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So for students who may be interested in going and getting involved in the band program, I wanted to ask about the different areas of study, kind of the different areas that students could be involved in if they wanted to try and pursue a degree and to
Sure.
major in the program.
Yeah, so I mean, from a non-music major perspective, all of our ensembles are completely available. So if you were interested, if you did play a trumpet or a clarinet or a flute at one point in your time, or were a percussionist, you can still sign up to be a part of the Sound of the Natural State. You can sign up to be a part of our concert bands. Maybe you're a vocalist. Maybe you want to join our Jonesboro Chorale, our concert choir, the Singing Statesmen, the Scarlet Voices. We have so many different ensemble opportunities that are out there for students all over this campus to be a part of. And we really hope that, in jazz as well, gosh, don't want to forget about our jazz program too. There are so many opportunities for students to participate. It's just a matter of reaching out to us and making sure that we can help you, advise you on how to get it into your course schedule and get it into your course sequence for the semesters that you're looking to take those credits for.
Right.
And you can even take it as 0 credit in many cases. So if you're already maxed out in what your major might be, you can take an ensemble for 0 credit, so you can still participate, it still gets on your transcript, and you can still be a part of the team and be a part of our band family, as we like to say. So we really do want to make it accessible to everybody on campus. And then within that, you have other tiers of bands. So like, for instance, we have our wind ensemble, which is really the premier concert ensemble that we have here of our 3. And that one's an audition-based group. Mostly it is music majors, but we have on occasion had non-music majors in that group too, just because they were excellent musicians, and that
Sure.
just happened to be where they auditioned into.
Sure, sounds good. We're going to continue talking about A-State bands here on the other side of the break. The interim director of A-State bands is Dr. Stephen Riley. He's joining me on A-State Connections, and we'll continue the conversation on the other side of this break. We'll be right back after this.
When you say experience counts, it's experience that counts for a lifetime.
Boxes, I cannot fit in the boxes. Stop it, quitting was never an option. Exhausted, this passion is never exhausted. And you cannot stop it, nah, you cannot stop it. Quitting was never an option.
Red Wolf Radio is a student-led organization at Arkansas State University wanting to hear your takes on pop culture, music, the news, and college life. Just about anything you can think of. Located in the Education and Communications building on campus, we are always looking for more volunteers. So if you're an Arkansas State University student, no matter the major, and this is something that interests you, shoot us an email at redwolfradio@astate.edu. That's redwolfradio@astate.edu. Let them hear you howl.
At Arkansas State, we want you to go. Go where learning soars, takes flight, and rockets ahead. Go for experiences, internships, and scholarships. We want you to go. Become A-State Maine. Are you ready to go? Go.astate.edu for details.
Live from the ASU-TV studios in the School of Media and Journalism, this is A-State Connections. And welcome back to A-State Connections on KASU and ASU-TV. I'm Jonathan Reeves. We're continuing our conversation by talking about A-State bands, and Interim Director of A-State Bands, Dr. Stephen Riley, joins me here today for the second segment. And thanks for joining us again. We appreciate it.
You're quite welcome. Thanks again.
So I wanted to ask you about recently, the U.S. Air Force Band came to the Fowler Center, and the Singing Sergeants put on a show, and I know that the A-State Choir was part of that, and you were also part of that as well. Tell us about that experience and being involved with the A-State Band, or actually with the U.S. Air Force, and having the bands be a part of that.
Yeah, so I mean, it was really a complete music department representation and effort to coordinate that. And the Fowler Center did a wonderful job hosting as well. It was just a team effort all the way around. Having our students get to participate with a world-class ensemble like our United States Air Force Concert Band and the Singing Sergeants is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Having that level of musicianship on our stage, it was just one of those things that we knew we had to be a part of that partnership. And we're so fortunate that nearly all of our DC-based DC-based military bands, they all are very much about connecting with the communities that they perform for. And I don't think it ever was a thought in our mind that there wouldn't be an opportunity to partner in some way with them. And just the fact that they were so inclusive of everybody. It wasn't just, a handful of band members or just one or two choir members or just a faculty member here or there. It was everybody was a part of that conference and invited to share in that moment. So that was such a meaningful performance. Our band students, we had about 12 band students who were recommended by their applied studio faculty members to participate in a march, the Washington Post March, to sit in. And it was just awesome to see how gracious the musicians from the Air Force Band were with our students. They, for the sound check, just said, "Hey, I'm a clarinet player." And people would just pop up out of their chairs, say, "Oh, take my seat. For this, sit down, this is great, enjoy." And so the graciousness and the welcomeness that we had from the Air Force, from the military personnel and the Air Force Band was just amazing. Their conductor, Colonel Schofield, was also incredible, engaging them throughout the whole process, asking them questions. What do you think about that? How are you feeling with this? Is this, what did you think? Why do you think we might do it this way? And just keeping them all engaged in the process of the product, not just the final product itself. And then, our choirs, oh my gosh, Dr. Sullivan did such a great job preparing our choirs to sing to sing with the Air Force Band and the Singing Sergeants in the kind of like the finale moments. It was just absolutely truly moving emotionally to see them perform at that level.
Yeah, just describe what students can pick up and learn from being able to not only observe something like that, but have that opportunity to participate in a concert like that.
Without a doubt, professionalism and just kind of showing students that, these musicians will have that concert down in one take. And it was in the intermission, I was talking with the conductor, and he was even mentioning to me, he's like, "Boy, I can't remember the last time we did that last one there." It's like, so he would even call one of his musicians over and was like, "Hey, when was the last time we did that?" And he was just like, "I don't know." And so, I mean, they rehearsed it probably about a month ago, and that was probably the only time they ran through it, and then they played it that day. So knowing that they have to be at that level to just be able to sit down, maybe do a quick sound check, and play an entire concert, that's all they get, and it has to be at that professional level every time. Also, I think trust was a huge issue. Was a huge thing that they learned. That not only do you have to be prepared and be professional in how you perform, but you also have to trust each other that everybody else in that band and that performance environment was going to be the same way. And that if, hey, I'm sure there were things they were noticing, I know we didn't notice, but if something didn't quite go as they expected, there was that. And then I think also the last thing is relationships. A lot of the people on that stage sing together and perform together for a 20-year service record, where they, up for a very long time. And getting to know a person musically and how they're going to approach playing a note or singing a pitch, what their tendencies are on the instrument, so that way you can adapt your own. that partnership is something you only get with time and experience playing together.
Yeah, that chemistry really showed.
Yeah.
In that. And you got the chance to go up and conduct.
Oh, yeah.
How was that?
It was like driving a Ferrari. All I got to say, it's just like when I wasn't expecting that invitation. Came about a little less than a week before the concert. Like, hey, would you like to do this march with us? I'm like, sure, that would be amazing. And to be able to just have that sound react to you in the moment like that. Truly, it was like driving a very fine, well-tuned car. I mean, that was. Yeah, it was awesome.
So take me into the mind of a conductor for a second, because, okay, one of the jokes that I've heard is that, well, the conductor has the easy job. All they're doing is standing up there and just waving their arms and all that. And I know you've heard that too.
For sure.
But please take us into that, what that job entails, and because I know that there's a method for everything that you do up there when you're conducting and leading the band.
Yeah. So, our first thing that I think that most conductors try to do is be true to the interpretation of the composer. It is art that we are trying to convey. We want to make sure that it's something that the composer intended. So and oftentimes we can't have that conversation, whether they are just unavailable, whether they've been deceased for a long time, and yet their art endures, like John Philip Sousa. We can't ask Sousa anymore how he wanted that march to go. But it's our job to be the researchers, it's our job to be the interpreters, and to be just the folks who kind of have that extra time to research, study the score, and try to bring out that authenticity to what Sousa would have intended. And we try to do that as best as we can, while we also all have our own variations on that too. There's room for interpretation. I think that's what makes every conductor interesting. And then finally from there, it's about unifying. It's about keeping that one idea, that one message, that artistic idea continuous throughout every member of the ensemble. And when we're waving our arms, part of that's showing the visual aspect of the music. Much like a marching band, has drill and has their own choreography. I think that the gestures that we do is both meant to show and to lead, but also be reactionary to what the music is that we're getting. And I can tell you, I was all smiles working with the U.S. Air Force Band. That was just absolutely incredible.
And you were talking about the interpretation, which I think is really interesting. One of my favorite classical pieces from Johann Sebastian Bach is the Air Suite.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, with that, just how beautiful and slow that it is. But I have heard some conductors and some bands, they perform it, or some orchestras perform it very slow.
Yep.
Some will perform it a lot faster.
Sure.
And I've always kind of wondered about, why that is. And I guess you're right, all goes back into the interpretation of what the conductor sees at that point.
Yeah, there's a great story. I believe it was a Sousa march,
Yeah.
where there was this accelerando, the speed up that happened at the very end, and one conductor heard it that way, they experienced it that way, and they experienced it via recording. And that became the way everybody did it.
Yeah.
And then new research came out. It's like, well, I wonder why that was the case. Well, that one conductor way back when was like, well, actually it turned out to be they've sped up because at the time, Sousa was trying to beat the clock. And they had a wax cylinder recording.
Okay.
And so the wax cylinder was running out, apparently. And so the tempo increased to make sure they could get it all in one take. And that became the interpretation, because another conductor said, oh, well, I guess they wanted it to go fast. Like, actually, it wasn't. It was because he was trying to beat the clock to make sure he didn't run out of tape, essentially. And then people started to unpack that a bit more and kind of play it more of a straight. But it's amazing how interpretation can be also miscommunicated sometimes, or we might miss the mark every now and again.
Yeah, and so we tell our students to always watch the clock. The clock can be your best friend or your worst enemy.
That's right, yeah.
And that's in another area, not just broadcasting where that happens
for
too.
sure, yeah.
So this has been a lot of fun to be able to talk about the programs and that. You all, besides that event where the A-State Bands is involved in, kind of throughout the year, you all are involved in those community outreach efforts, whether it's on campus or off campus, where where people can come and hear what the students are doing. Kind of give us a preview of what some of those events are through the year.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, we're right in the middle of marching band mode right now, so our football games are part of that. You also can come to our recital series that we have, whether it be a student, a guest artist, whether it be the Fowler Center Lecture Concert concert series. Another big one coming up in 2 weeks, actually on the 4th, is our all-region clinic. So that's an opportunity for students in local high school programs to come to A-State and learn from the very best faculty I can never imagine to work with, and just expert musicians, how to play their etudes that they'll have to perform for a chance to be in those honor bands. And to get that one-on-one instruction and that group instruction in masterclass settings is a chance for them to get prepared as well on how to do that. In the spring semester, we have our ASBOA All-Region Clinic, which brings the 2 major honor bands, I should say the 4 major honor bands from the junior highs and high schools to the Fowler Center to perform. And so that's always a sold-out house, and it's a great opportunity for us to connect with prospective music students, but also to showcase the incredible facility of our Fowler Center here on campus. And then beyond that, we have the Young Musicians Workshop at the end of the year, which brings more of those junior high level students a chance to participate in and learn from a little bit maybe more about their instrument. Maybe they don't know really quite what to do with their trumpet yet, or maybe they're struggling with this one little pedagogical thing, and our professors can help iron that out. And then finally, the Mid-South Honor Band, which is another honor band we host just here at A-State to bring more students back to campus to perform with just world-class musicians and educators.
I know that you are extremely proud of the faculty, the staff, those that make it happen, and also the students as well.
Oh, we couldn't operate without our students, whether it be our Tri-Greek organizations like Tau Beta Sigma, like Phi Mu Alpha Sinfonia, SAI, whether it's our section leadership team. Really, we could not be our graduate students. Oh my gosh, our graduate students do so much for us. If it wasn't for everybody's invested effort, the A-State Bands could not be the 94-year legacy that it is. And I just can't wait to see kind of how it continues to grow forward from there.
So if students want more information, or people in general want more information about A-State Bands, what can they do? How can they get a hold of you all?
Well, absolutely. You can go to our Facebook page. It's called A-State Bands. It's pretty easy to find on Facebook, Instagram. Also, we have the at A-State Bands tag. You can go to our website on the Department of Music webpage here at Arkansas State University. That's a great place to find all the information about upcoming events, about just the concerts that we have, opportunities to audition if they're interested in that, and if you're a current student as well. Come audition. We'd love to have you, and we would love to make you a part of the band family that we have here.
Fantastic. Dr. Stephen Riley, thank you so much for joining us here today on A-State Connections. This has been a lot of fun.
Quite welcome. Thank you.
Want you to come back and bring some students, too, when you come back. So
absolutely.
That'd be fantastic. That'll do it for this edition of A-State Connections. I want to thank my guest, Dr. Stephen Riley, for joining us here today. Also want to thank Creative Media Production Instructor Galen Perkins and his amazing students who are always running the show behind the scenes. Thanks also to engineers Clayton Holderfield and Jacob Keene for their help. And thank you for watching. I'll see you right here next Wednesday at 1:30 for another edition of A-State Connections. And as we said, you can listen to this episode of A-State Connections by searching for Red Wolf Radio Podcast on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. So long, everyone. We'll see you again soon.